Hi, my name is Lauren Wigg. I am a support coordinator at Boone County Family Resources, also known as BCFR. And today I'm going to be talking to you all about the use of life trajectory in the planning process and how we have implemented that into our planning process here in Boone County. When we send out pre-planning documentation, we include a life trajectory into that paperwork to give families and individuals and their teams time to look that over prior to the actual plan meeting. What we found when we first implemented this, that is, if we tried to do it at the planning meeting, individuals were caught off guard, families didn't know what the document was, and we were not really getting good information when we were looking at completing the document. When we send it ahead of time, we encourage families to fill that out. When we first started, of course, it was difficult to get that kind of families understanding. So now that we've had it in our planning process for some time, people have had a better grasp of what it is. And I think it's really helped facilitated good discussions between families and their teams and the individual, and really helps individuals speak up and really show what their trajectory is, especially when it may differ from what their family or their team is really thinking is the best trajectory for them. So what we do is at the planning meeting, if an individual brings it or their family brings it. For example, I've had a family complete the life trajectory. They brought it to the plan meeting. I could tell that the family had really just completed it as to what they felt was needed for the individual. And there were some great things on there. They wanted the individual to be safe. They wanted them to maintain a healthy lifestyle. But I wanted to sit down and have another trajectory that I could fill out with the individual at that plan meeting to really have their voice heard and to really show what they felt was important. Well, they might not address being healthy and being safe as something in their trajectory. Those are important, and I want to include those in the plan and to make sure that we have supports for that. But I also wanted to ensure that the individual was being heard and we could work towards that trajectory for that person. This has facilitated numerous conversations with families and really helped individuals speak up. Especially in transition age, and then as individuals are older, regarding work, day program, what they're really wanting to do, relationships, things that they've maybe had restrictions on for some time, how can we work towards getting them those restrictions lifted, taken away, giving them more ability to do the things that they're really wanting to do, but then still having those supports that those families are wanting to ensure individuals' safety and health. What we do then is we put that into the plan. So we use the trajectory to kind of outline what the plan, and I'm going to show you now kind of what our plan template looks like. So the blue questions that we have at the top are the prompts that we have in the ISP template, and we, as support coordinators, use those to then ensure what we write below. To really ensure that we're including what the individual wants and kind of their vision for a good life. This question contributors to the ISP. We want to include everyone that was involved in the planning process, not just during the plan meeting, but after or before as well, to ensure that anyone that was provided information or anyone that's really important to the individual and has good information is included in this. Then we look at really implementing the vision for the good life into the IEP questions. So the first page of the IEP has the individual's picture and name. The second page has the demographic data, their address, and that kind of information. And then the third and the fourth page of our ISP template are really looking at breaking down kind of that vision for a good life, using those examples and what's outlined in the life trajectory. And then later on in the plan is where we really break down and provide more information as to what that is. But we really want to give a good snapshot in those first few pages of what is important to that individual, what helps that individual thrive, and how we can provide them with the good life that they're wanting. So what is the individual's vision for a good life? We try to take that directly from what the individual outlined. And we're really looking at the individual. We later cover what the family, guardian, and team is wanting. So this is really looking at what the individual is wanting. So they want to be active in their community. They want no bugs. And I try to write it exactly how they're wanting. For example, I don't have it on here, but one of my individuals always says he wants a cheeseburger without cheese. So not a hamburger, but a cheeseburger without cheese, how the individual wants it, what gives them a good life. And we want to phrase it that way to really show what's important to them. What are some of the individual strengths? This, we look at both what the individual says and what the team thinks. We want to include those highlights, the strengths that really help them, the characteristics that really help them to thrive, what they're good at, and really highlight that on here. Who is important to the individual, and we want that to be everyone that is important to them. Not who we think is important to them, but what they really think. These were some examples that I pulled out of some ISPs that we had, really looking at roommates, their children, really breaking it down. Bob, who's at the food court that I go and walk at every day, Peter, who's at the bus stop. We really want to outline all those people who are important to the individual. What is important to the individual, including routines and rituals? So what we like to do here is the part that people say is, what they don't want in their life. We try to rephrase those into what is important to them. So they don't like a change in their routine, so they do like routine. They don't like to stay home. We like to get out in the community. We really like to phrase it so that people who look at their plan, who are especially looking at those first 2 pages, can really see what is the most important to this individual, what helps this individual be successful, and what can we do to help them with this. And then we look at what's important to the individual, their family, and their guardian, and really include that in here, their team too, especially if they don't have a guardian or they don't have family involvement. We really look at what others think is important and what we've seen maybe from the outside as being important to them. And we want to include those in here so that we can show what is important to the individual versus or the same as what's important to the family. And then we can try in the plan narrative later on in the other pages to really break those down and show what that means for the family and for the individual and how we look at supporting those, and then the services and supports that they receive to meet the needs of both individuals. So that's kind of how we incorporate Charting the Life course, the trajectory, and the vision for the good life into our ISP planning process and planning template. I really appreciate your guys' time and the opportunity to provide you and share with you what we have been doing here in Boone County.